Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Against All Odds Summit. And now, our hosts, Mwende Mutinda.
Hello and a warm welcome to everybody joining us from all around the world. We welcome you to the Against All Odds Summit, which is taking place in Nairobi, Kenya. We have a lot lined up for you, from girl talks to inspire sessions and amazing lineup of speakers that will leave you inspired. The Girl Up campaign is an initiative of the UN Foundation that was founded in the year 2010. It empowers girls to be advocates for change. We welcome you to join us. Let's see who has joined us.
Hello everyone, my name is Betty Avude. I am the Girl Up Regional Leader for Kenya. I'd like to take this great opportunity to welcome you all to our Kenyan Regional Summit. Against All Odds will be our theme for this summit. We shall be holding various sessions that will be conducted by a collaboration of Girl Up clubs here in Kenya and Zimbabwe. We have Girl Up Club Umoja, Girl Up Club Taita Taveta, Girl Up Club Isinya, Nova Pioneer Girl Up Club, and Girl Up Club Zimbabwe. We shall also be hosting great speakers. We have our lovely Melissa Kilby, she's the Girl Up Executive Director. Nana Gishaga, she's the Kenyatta International Conference Center CEO. And our very own Musonda Chikwanda, she's the Girl Up Regional Manager for Africa. All of you are welcome to join in. Thank you so much. Enjoy yourself.
Joining conference.
Hi.
Hi.
Joining conference.
Five, four, three, two, one.
And now, a word from the Executive Director, Girl Up Campaign, United Nations Foundation, Melissa Kilby.
Hello, everybody. Melissa Kilby here. I'm so happy to join the Against All Odds Summit with Girl Up Kenya, and so happy that the power of technology allows us to cross oceans and be with each other. I know that these times are unprecedented, but the silver lining is that our global movement, we can truly be connected, even if online. I'm so proud of you all for being here, and give so much congratulations to the girls at Girl Up Kenya for putting on this great event. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about Girl Up. But at the end of the day, why are we all here? What is this all about? Why does Girl Up exist? Why do we have conferences like this? The truth is that there is no country in the world where girls and women are equal. Whether you experience that yourself in Kenya, or for me here in the United States, in every corner and everywhere in between, we are all fighting for equality. So what is Girl Up? I'm sure many of you are new to our global movement. Our mission at Girl Up is to develop, mobilize, and activate a powerful generation of changemakers who advance gender equality. And that's all of you. Girl Up believes in the power of girls and helps them to tap into their ability to create change in their communities and the world. We are a movement to advance girls' skills, rights, and opportunities. Girl Up brings together thousands of girl activists and 1 million supporters spanning the globe, inspiring a generation of girls to be a force for change. So how do we do that? Our approach with you and with the girls around the world is that we want to ensure that you're able to learn about the issues facing girls and women in your own countries, in your own communities, but also around the world. Then we train you to become leaders. Things like organizing, advocacy, communicating, planning, putting on events, using your voice, fundraising if you're able to, and really making an impact in the lives of girls. The other thing we do with Girl Up is we position you to lead the change. So once you have built those skills, once you have started a club or joined a group, it's now time to lead. You have the ability to train others, to inspire others, and to bring awareness to the issues that you care about. So I would ask you all, what moves you? Why did you come today? Why did you join this summit? What are the issues, the inequalities that you care most about? Is it girls' education? Is it preventing gender-based violence? Is it ensuring reproductive health and access for every girl and woman in the world? Is it mental health, making sure that we can take care of ourselves and the challenges that we face as women and also activists? Is it the gaps in leadership that we see for women in every company, every industry, in government, and in our communities? Is it the gender gap in sports or STEM fields? Where is your passion? It's important to know that as you begin to become an activist and a leader. For me, I am really passionate about women in leadership. I'm really passionate that we have representation and that we see ourselves at the decision-making table. Between you and me, I am not comfortable with men making decisions about my life, my family, my body, and my future. That's what drives me. So, as you think about the leader in you, there's a couple ways that we think that this comes out at Girl Up. There's self-leadership, peer leadership, and change leadership. What does that mean? So self-leadership comes from knowing who you are. What is your character? What are your morals? Why are you a part of this movement? But also, what is your history? What privilege do you bring to the work? What resources? How are you showing up as the best ally? And how are you making room for others? As a peer leader, it's about communication, empathy, inspiring others, being organized, having a clear plan, and making sure that there is room for other girls in your club, in their leadership, and in this movement. And when it comes to change leadership, that's what it's all about. It's about making an impact in the lives of girls and women in every part of our world, in your backyard, in your own house, in your school, in your community, in your country. Change comes in lots of different ways, whether you're changing policies, changing perceptions, increasing the value and perceived value of girls and women, you're getting girls in school, you're providing them with menstrual hygiene products, or you are just raising your own voice, being heard, and demanding a seat at the table. You are changing equality. You are working to achieve equality, and that change is what Girl Up is all about, and it's that unity that brings us all together as a global movement. There's 4 real ways that we talk about making a difference and taking action with Girl Up. That's advocacy. That's using your voice to advocate for policies, for processes, and for decisions that create rights, that celebrate rights, and create opportunities to ensure that we're all equal. There's fundraising. Maybe you're fundraising in your community to support another organization or another group of girls or women that don't have the same access to resources as you. Maybe you're fundraising as part of the international movement to help our supporters and our partners and the girls that benefit from the UN programs. Fundraising is one aspect, and that is a way, if you're able, to really make a change. Storytelling is such an incredibly powerful way to take action with Girl Up. To understand the stories of inequality and the girls and the women who are fighting for their voices to be heard. Stories are how we change hearts, how we change minds, and ultimately how we get decisions made and decisions changed. The other key way to take action with Girl Up is to organize, bringing your community together, bringing your friends together. We believe that we are stronger together and that there's strength in numbers. There are literally tens of thousands and thousands of girls that are a part of the Girl Up movement, and we are all standing with you. We are together as a global movement fighting to achieve gender equality. So I want you to think about, what is your goal? How do you want to show up at Girl Up? What do you want to add to this conversation? And there's a lot of ways that we can do this. Most girls participate in Girl Up as part of a Girl Up club. That can happen on your school. It can happen as part of another community organization. We have university clubs, we have secondary school clubs, and again, we have community clubs. But coming together as a group of girls and women, self-identifying girls or boys who are allies, is what Girl Up is all about. We host leadership summits just like the one that you are experiencing today, both led by staff and by girls. There's coalitions, country coalitions, regional coalitions, city coalitions. If there's a group of clubs and you want to get together and make your voices stronger and your work have more impact, you can band together as a coalition. And we have our Teen Advisory Board, which are representatives from around the world who advise me and the Girl Up staff on what we need to be doing, how we tackle it, and what are the most pressing issues for teen girls today. There's tons of events and training. You can find out more on our website. So many of them are accessible now because most of them are online, and obviously regional events and things here in your own country. So I want to also just share with you some of the impact that you and Girl Up has had on the world. Since we launched Girl Up, we have raised more than $10 million to support almost 100,000 girls through our partners with the UN. We've also inspired, trained, and brought together more than 65,000 girls just like you around the world who are part of this movement, leaders who are committed to change. We have helped raise the marriage age in countries around the world, made sure that taxes are not being brought on products like menstrual health in countries and cities like Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Your impact is profound. One action that you take in your community to improve the life of one girl, it all adds up. It adds up to an increased value of girls, and that is key to achieving equality. So just to share a little bit more, girls have started 3,500 clubs in over 120 countries since we launched in 2010. And with that, 65,000 members have been a part of this movement. Our Girl Up members have hosted more than 30,000 events and activities in their communities. And like I said, we've raised millions of dollars for our UN partners. We've changed policies, and through awesome campaigns and storytelling, we're starting to change the gender norms in families and communities. So with that, I encourage you all, take in this summit, listen to the experts, think about what drives your own passion, and get started with us. Everyone is welcome. There is no cost to join. We will do everything we can to support you, and we welcome you into the Girl Up community. Thank you so much, and have a great Against the Odds Summit.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Against All Odds Summit. We are here representing Girl Up Nova Pioneer Girls, and the topic we're going to be discussing today is the challenges that girls are facing during this pandemic. So my name is Alison Kabugi and I'm 16 years old. I'm a student at Nova Pioneer Tattoo Girls and currently the project manager of the Gallup Nova Pioneer Club. My dream is to be a lawyer in future, and what I do during my free time is baking. So I'd love to share recipes with you if you also love baking and researching on topics that I find interesting. Over to you, Shakira.
Hi guys, welcome to this summit. I'm really happy to be a part of this summit and I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Shakira Mokitawa. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm 17 years old and I'm currently a Form 4 student at Nova Pioneer Tattoo Girls. I'm really happy to be a part of the Gallup Nova Club and I am one of the founders that's began the club last year. I dream of working in the creative industry. As I love to storytell through art, I like to paint, I like to draw and experiment making different forms of art. A fun fact about me is that I'm a big fan of Hamilton. I really like it. I enjoyed the music. I'm really excited to connect with you guys and get to know people who are interested in musicals like Hamilton. Yeah. Over to you, Irimo.
Okay, thank you, Shakira. Hi there, my name is Wari Mohammed. I'm 17 years old, but I'd like to say I'm 21. And I do a lot of hair research, so I know a lot about rice water usage, the inversion treatment, masks, and all that good stuff. And I also fight the patriarchy because I'd like to say I argue for a living. Over to you, Paula.
Hello, my name is Paula Maina. I'm a 17-year-old student at Nova Pioneer Tattoo Girls. I'm currently the social media manager of the Nova Gallup Club, and I'm very excited to be here. My dream is to work in the film and photography industry. I spend my free time writing poetry and planning my photography. So yeah, back to you, Serena.
Hi, my name is Serena. I'm a 16-year-old student at Nova Pioneer Girls. The co-president of the club, and I dream of working in the medicine industry when I'm older. The things I do in my free time is read and try out new things to discover my interest. Back to you, Alison.
Okay, so as I had said earlier, the topic that we were discussing was challenges being faced by girls during this pandemic, and we decided to talk about some of these challenges. The first one was the adolescent pregnancies, which I'm sure we've all seen in the news, whereby the number of teen pregnancies in Kenya has increased drastically during this pandemic. The burden that domestic workers are carrying right now and how it has increased in the pandemic. We're also going to talk about whispering in the noise, whereby girls right now are being neglected and they have nobody to stand up for them and fight for them. We're also going to discuss how the menstruation cycle and girls have been affected, as well as pregnancies. Yes. Over to you, Shakira.
So, teen pregnancies. The government has officially the number of girls visiting their antenatal services due to increased pregnancies during the lockdown has increased drastically. Research, we can conclude that the Kenyan adolescent birth rate has increased, whereby 96 in 1,000 women are giving birth. Let's talk about this and see what exactly is happening and what we can do about it.
Right. So now this particularly is because when the data was released by the government, many of us received many messages from our aunties, our moms, our grandmothers, warnings, or just to serve as a warning to show the things that are happening to other girls our age in many counties and the numbers. So we'll discuss with you the effects.
So one of the problems that we experience is that COVID-19 has been scaring away our mothers, most people are afraid to go to the antenatal clinics for fear that they'll catch the coronavirus. Has posed as a struggle, and especially for teenage pregnancies, which are more difficult to handle. It has become more difficult for them during this pandemic.
Right. And with an age-old tale is that if somebody gets pregnant in the society, it's not a good thing. So we found that many people are stigmatized because of getting pregnant, discriminated from their family, and they're being married at a young age, at young ages of even 10, as you see in the news. And this has been terrible for them in many ways.
Some of them are experiencing trauma due to the new responsibilities and the decisions that they have to take on, which is difficult for them, and it's mentally disturbing for them, as it's something new that they have to take on. So this is something that is really affecting our teenagers, and I believe that there's something we have to do about this.
Right. And because their bodies are not developed as women in the childbearing age, which is often above teenage years, they are more prone to pregnancy complications, which could result in their death, the death of their children, or just it could lead to other conditions that will affect them later on in life, which is deterrent to their health and to their success.
So what exactly is the problem? If you don't know about this, sexual assault violence has been a problem that us women and young girls have been facing for quite a long time. But now during this period where we are forced to stay in our homes, it's become worse because people are idle, they're not going they're not going to work. So these homes of these young girls have become unsafe, as there are men there to sexually assault them, resulting in a lot of unwanted pregnancies.
Right. And as much as the education on contraceptives and ways to prevent pregnancy has grown and it's increasing in our country, there's still people who are unaware and still believe that some very fishy explanations for why they won't get pregnant. There's people who believe if they have sex in a car or something like that, then they won't be impregnated from that. And this then results in them falling pregnant, and they did not expect it, but they were not able to protect themselves from it. And yeah.
I recently had a story that a girl from Kibra was offered free Wi-Fi because she wanted to continue her online studying. But this guy who gave her such an opportunity decided to take advantage of this poor young girl, and he defiled her and ended up impregnating her. This man is still out there free, and the case is under investigation. So teens out there during this time are being forced to engage in transactional sex so that they can generate income for their families. As people have lost their jobs, they've been forced to go into their homes. This has become a solution to ways of getting food, shelter, water, and all other necessities.
We as Gallup have seen that we can, in our capacity as students, there's many things we cannot do, but there's also things we can do. One of the things we can do that we have the ability to, that's a resource that's available to us, is we can contact our government officials who then have the means to change policies that will favor girls and prevent them from falling pregnant at a young age.
Okay. Another solution is that we could organize fundraisers. We could start an initiative where we can collect money from our community so that we can purchase things like diapers, clothes for the babies and for the mother, as you know, they'll be growing. We could also help them find more food and find means to survive during such a period. So as a community, I think we need to gather together and decide to find these girls and help them during such a tough period.
Right. And if you've been closely following the news, there have been discussions on sex education in our country and the integration of sex education into our education system. And we believe that it's a pertinent issue and that these things need to be discussed by young people because it's the only way to prevent pregnancy among young people. We understand the people who are impregnated through, as we said before, sexual assault and rape and all that. But there's also people who are impregnated not from ignorance, but because they didn't know. And we believe that by educating these people on the things that they can do to prevent pregnancy, then we would definitely decrease the number of pregnancies in the country.
Another vital solution is providing love and support. That is crucially important, as the mental health of the mother is very important. Instead of stigmatizing our girls, we need to be there and embrace them and support them, as it's a tough time for them. Imagine if you were in such a situation. Would you want to be chased away from your home? No, you'd prefer to be comforted by your family instead of being treated like someone who's done something wrong. I mean, it happened, it's a mistake, or it's not something you could control. So now you have to take what it is. We're in the present. We need to take the initiative to provide love and care to these young girls so that they can be able to go through this situation, which is not easy to go through. It's really hard, and you need to be there for them.
The burden of care, the implications of COVID-19 on the already high burden of care and unpaid domestic labor that women experience all over the world. General life would not go on as smoothly without the often unrecognized work done by women every day, like cooking, raising children, and so forth. And the United Nations released a report confirming that unpaid care work has increased, with children out of school, heightened care needs of older persons, and overwhelmed healthcare services. Most of these duties are undertaken by women. So while women were already doing most of the world's unpaid care work, emerging research suggests that the crisis and its subsequent shutdown response have resulted in a dramatic increase in this burden. So women are typically known to take over the management of household activities, sometimes without help, in the name of the perceived gender norms of domestic work. This brings out the aspect of gender inequality that's present even in people's homes.
So another topic that we wanted to discuss was, we called it whispering in the noise, where girls' rights are human rights, and laws and policies that have been enacted, such as the Children's Act, which is an act of parliament in Kenya. It provides for rights such as right to education, protection from abuse, sexual exploitation, and cultural rights. Such rights are present all over the world, and unfortunately, rights are not respected by people, as the views, opinions, ideas of girls are still undermined and seen as insignificant. Therefore, because of this, girls are afraid to speak up, and even those who do are deemed as opinionated, rude, or disrespectful, which should not be the case. So this idea that we're talking about, where a girl is not able to speak up when something is wrong, is not an idea that one is born with. Rather, it's something that's embedded in their minds from a young age. So there are various reasons as to why girls are not able to express their ideas, and we can sum them up in these 5. So the first one is temperance. So this is where you're conversing with someone, you're talking to them, and because you don't want to hurt them, you allow them to overpower you, even though what they're saying is wrong, but you feel overpowered and you're reluctant to speak out. And yeah, for modesty, this is where when many girls are complimented or they're praised for something that they've done, you'll find that maybe they'll turn their eyes to the floor or shake their heads, because we are taught that it's better for you to be seen as shy and timid rather than for you to accept the compliment and be seen as proud and boastful. Then we have upbringing, which I personally believe is a major contributor to this. So in most cases, girls and boys are brought up very differently, and because of this, girls are brought up knowing that they should not show too much emotion, especially the negative emotions. Don't be too angry, don't be too sad, don't show so much frustration. And because of this, when they're older, they acquire something known as emotional perfectionism, where they believe that they should be in control of their emotions all the time. They should be rational. They should be the peacemakers. They should not they should not lose control of their emotions. Another reason is traditions. So for this one, I think most of you or some of you may be able to relate. This is where when two people, let me use the example of when two people are married, then they visit their in-laws. You'll find that when they're visiting either the wife's or the husband's families, the wife always has to undertake in cleaning duties, cooking duties, taking care of the children, even when they're visiting her parents. But in both cases, the husband might just sit down, chat with the families, and is not expected to do anything. If the wife also does the same, she's seen as disrespectful and rude, which should not be the case. And because of this, such traditions are embedded in the minds of children. So daughters will grow up knowing, okay, I'm supposed to be in the kitchen, I'm not allowed to sit down, I'm supposed to help with the cooking, while their sons grow up knowing that they can sit and just chat and not do anything. So how has this pandemic increased this problem? So the stress and the pressures that these girls were already facing at home, they would go to school, be with their peers, interact with their teachers, learn, plan for their future. But because of the closing of schools, their safe haven, their place of security is no longer there. Also, in some communities where leaders would advocate for children who maybe they were being forced into early marriages or FGM, and these leaders would take action and maybe arrest the guardians or the parents or the people involved and protect these girls. Currently, right now, everyone is occupied with COVID-19 control, trying to maintain economic stability. So these girls are now being neglected, and there's nobody there to be there with them. So what exactly can we do? The first thing we can do is ask, because as much as this seems like such a simple and mundane solution, it's a very effective solution, because a question such as, what's wrong? Are you okay? Can I help? Can go a long way. You never know, you might be able to save someone's life. So never be afraid to ask. Use your own voice and encourage others to do the same, because some people may be more privileged than others, and those who are should be able to use their privilege to advocate for others, and also as they're doing that, to encourage others. Show girls the power in their voice. A common phrase that we've had is, what boys can do, girls can do too. And I think this is very true and very powerful. So if girls are to speak up, then they can do great things. Also, if girls are to speak up, then they can be the experts of their own needs if given the opportunity, skills, and support. We should also, they should also be taught thinking, because at a young age, if they're taught critical thinking, then when they're older and they difficult situations, then they'll be able to look back on some of the lessons they were taught and some of the things they were told to do, and be able to come out of these difficult situations or any situation they face.
Topic of interest was periods in a pandemic. So acquiring sanitary during coronavirus has become a real struggle for women and girls. And Dr. Rosemond had recently said around the world, COVID-19 lockdowns are causing big problems for women and girls. Periods don't stop during a pandemic, but managing them safely and with dignity has become really hard. So where is the problem? So 3 key issues are severe shortages of sanitary products, a drastic increase in prices of these products in the market, the economy being at a standstill, and lack of access to basic information and services about menstrual hygiene. So what happens when sanitary products are hard to obtain? So women and girls might resort to using unhygienic alternatives that can increase their risk in reproductive and urinary tract infections. In some cases, stigma and shame are associated with menstruation is on the rise, as girls have no other option but to use unsafe alternatives while being confined in their homes, and they no longer can afford the privacy that they had while in school or when was at home. Addressing the taboo and stigma associated with it is critical in ensuring that their human rights, their health, and their dignity are well sorted. So the next agenda on the list is problematic pandemic pregnancy, and maternity services during the pandemic is affecting women due to staffing and other possible concerns. Some of these choices may not always be available for pregnant women. For example, certain facilities may not be available on the day or when there may be complications such as ambulances. Home births have been discouraged due to lack of adequate resources such as midwives. Moreover, people are not assured of being able to receive emergency support if needed, such as ambulances, I had said previously. Others sought to maintain these as an effort to reduce unnecessary hospitalization because hospitals are being regarded as COVID-19 hotspots. Yeah. Women and midwives remain very much affected during pregnancy, birth, and the postnatal weeks. The midwife and woman relationship, such as meeting in person and providing comfort, have been upended in an attempt to maintain the distance to reduce the cross infection. Women who have complex medical conditions have had access to face-to-face care reduced, while being encouraged to keep attending hospitals. As I had said before, hospitals are being recognized as COVID-19 hotspots. I pass it over to Alison.
Thank you so much, Paula, and to everyone else who's presented. With that, our presentation ends there. And are there any questions or comments from anyone?
So yeah, I have a comment to add. In addition to our presentation, something that's also challenging our girls today is that they don't have access to online education, as some of the schools, some of the private schools that are having online sessions. So this means that these girls are missing out on their education, and they might miss out and fall back in terms of their education, especially if they're in class 8 or Form 4 and finishing their years in primary and secondary school. So I think that we could also help them out by fundraising to gain technology, like maybe some laptops, and also getting them bundles so that they can join some of these sessions. Some of the schools out there are giving admissions to students that are in schools that don't provide virtual sessions. So by fundraising for them, we could enable them to join these schools and join in these virtual sessions so that they can learn more and continue to broaden their knowledge instead of staying at home and just reading their books, which can become monotonous with time. So I believe that there's a lot of work that we have to do during this pandemic. And the good thing is that we are at home and we sort of have less work to do. So this means that we have the time to stand up for these girls and care for them, because we need to support each other as a community and we need to be there for them.
In conclusion, basically what we're trying to say is that as the Gallup community, we should be supporting each other and being there for each other, especially during these times of uncertainty, because we don't know what's going to happen. We honestly don't know when this is going to end, whether it's going to be a couple of months or a couple of years. We don't know if this is going to be a new normal. So we really need to be there and support each other, ask each other. If you find someone maybe they look like they're not okay, make sure you ask. And yes, thank you so much for listening to our presentation. It's been an amazing opportunity to be able to discuss these challenges that girls are facing. Thank you.
everyone, I'm Laura Julia Tapiero Fleischman, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about Girl Up's Pen Pal program that BCC Girl Up set up with Girl Up Kenya. So a couple of months ago at the beginning of quarantine, I reached out on Instagram to Girl Up Kenya official, and I asked them if they would want to possibly do a pen pal program in which girls from the United States who are involved with Girl Up would be matched with one girl from Girl Up in Kenya, and they would communicate via email. So the purpose of this was to learn about other people's cultures, to exchange information, to talk about coronavirus and quarantine and how that's different in different places, and as overall create friendships and bonds with people who are from much different countries than where we are from. So I was really excited to help start this program along with the leaders of Girl Up in Kenya. We paired up girls from Nova Girl Up primarily and girls from BCC Girl Up, as well as other girls from the Washington DC area and other girls in Kenya, and we matched them together, and for the past months they've been emailing, communicating, sharing information, and just overall sort of taking a step back and learning and talking and building these really strong relationships with people that they otherwise wouldn't have had the chance to. I know for a fact that I would not have been able to meet my pen pal Nemo without this program. So it's really incredible. I really recommend if anyone wants to sign up, if you email just like your club leaders or the leaders in from Girl Up Kenya, they will reach out to me and we can definitely pair you up. It's a really amazing opportunity and I really hope you take advantage of it. Have an amazing time at the summit.
So my name is Marcela Valley, club leader Galap Taita Taveta. Galap Taita Taveta was started in 2019 with an aim of focusing on the girl child and empowering them to become the future leaders of the society. And together we have done a lot of activities, including distribution of pads, enhancing performance in high school girls, and linking needy girls with educational support, and also distribution of pads to keep the girls in school. So today I'm talking about why mentorship is vital for girls. First, mentorship for girls help them prevent making unavoidable mistakes. And another thing, mentorship gives the girls support. They look up to the mentors. They are the role models and stars. And also in Girl Up we have like three approaches that we use in mentorship of the girls. The first one is participatory process. Participatory means one-on-one approach with the girls for them to be able to say their needs, their problems, and we can give a helping hand to them. And also this helps to build and include them in our activities. The second one is sporting activities, and this is where we develop a great ownership of their bodies, or a great ownership of what they can do inside class and outside class. And because we believe the success of girls in experience on the sport field, they can translate it off the sport field, and this enables them to it also acts as a positive force and helps them reduce the risk of gender-based violence. Thirdly, we have the solution-focused mindset. And this is where we look at, we consider their strengths and resources. We amplify what they can do and what they cannot do, and what they really want to do. And also here we focus on the community at large, because for us we believe when we solve family issues, we have solved many issues. That's all. Thank you for listening.
Hello, and welcome to Advocacy 101 with me, Tatiana Foy, for the Girl Up Kenya Against All Odds Summit. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Tatiana Foy, a 16-year-old Caribbean-American Afro-Latina youth advocate. I was born in Aquarius in Manhattan, New York City, but I live on the beautiful island of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands and have heritage from the Dominican Republic. My affiliation with Girl Up started as an attendee of last year's Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. After my trip, I was so inspired to launch the first Girl Up chapter here in the Virgin Islands, September 2019, under my International Baccalaureate School's co-curricular program. Now, I am a member of the 2020-2021 Girl Up Teen Advisory Board, as well as I was able to host or co-lead the Uniting Girls for a Stronger Force 101 workshop with my fellow teen advisor, Mwanza, from Zambia. And now, I am a Girl Up Latin America and Caribbean ambassador for this region that I live in. Now let's talk about today's topic. Today's topic is advocacy. Advocacy, deeply embedded, is a sense of purpose. It's an act conducive to personal integrity that aims to impact the decisions within social, economic, and political systems and institutions. When choosing what to advocate for, you have to think of what is important to yourself. What do you value? What core values do you hold were instilled within you by your parents, by society? What are they? Here's a word bank of different values that some people stand for, some people don't. I want to take 30 seconds for you to read them and just think about which ones matter to you the most. Okay. Now, I want to identify what are some things that Girl Up advocates for. As you know, it is a campaign by the United Nations Foundation for girls, by girls. So basically, one of the things that we advocate for is uniting and unifying girls internationally. For example, here I am, Tortola, British Virgin Islands, speaking virtually at the Kenya Summit. So that's a unifying factor. Social change, intersectional feminism, and one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, reducing inequalities, especially gender equality. Now, there are a variety of ways in which one can advocate, but there are steps in which you should take to ensure that you have success, starting with research and education. You need to understand, like once you've chosen what you want to advocate for, the historical, the political, the social context of that theme that you're advocating for. You want to decipher biases when you're researching, because everyone is not necessarily telling the authentic truth. You want to also diversify the type of resources that you're looking into, because sometimes that might be the solution to deciphering biases. So, what are universal sources that can help you get educated on your topic? Literature. That can come in forms of anecdotals, it can come in forms of memoirs, it can come in forms of poems, and just different pieces of writing. Film. This one is more, up to date in our century, and I think we should definitely take advantage of that. Going to performances. Some may be live, some may be not, but the point of watching them, especially if it ties into what you're advocating for, is to get a clear picture of what has happened in the past and how you can structure that or take that information and apply it in the future. Now, it's always good to find different outlets, and art is another. Literature and music and and performances, they're all art. But when you think of art, sometimes you think of the abstract or the physical. So there can be stories in art. Different people represent different things. As you can see in the picture, there's Michelle Obama, Malcolm X, Alicia Keys. Different people that tell different stories. And music, of course, is essential. It's the living rhythm to our lives, and they all tell stories. There's something that it again ties into the different forms of art, so literature. So when people write songs, that's lyrics, and those lyrics are powerful words that tell a story. And so music can definitely fall under the category of art advocacy, or as we at Girl Up love to say, artvocacy, combining the two, art and advocacy. Another outlet in which you can advocate is through action. And you can even see it in the Brazilian Girl Up clubs who are taking it to parliament and creating bills and actually having those bills become part of legislation. And that is huge, and I am so proud of them. Some of which are my friends that I met at the Leadership Summit. So kudos to them. You can also gather your Girl Up friends or friends in your community that care about the same thing that you're advocating for and call in those politicians. Because at the end of the day, you voted them in, or your parents voted them in to represent you. And if they are not caring about things that you care about, maybe it's just a lack of exposure, or they're turning a blind eye. But you need to be persistent, and you need to ensure that your message is valued. And if they aren't doing what they need to do, then you get up and you try to do it yourself, which is what the Girl Up Elisa Soares were doing by collecting different menstrual products and having a menstrual drive, because only recently did they have the taxes for tampons and menstrual products deducted. But before that happened, there are steps to different things so that you can hopefully tell your government that, I've already started something. Here's what you can help to extend it, to make this something more promising. So government and advocacy. I touched on it a little bit, but here I am going to go in depth. I want to ask you a few questions regarding the government. What country is leading in local and parliamentary positions held by women? Do you know this answer? It's okay if you don't. I'm going to tell you. Latin America. What country has the highest number of women in parliament? Another 10 seconds for you to guess. Rwanda. How many countries have less than 10% of women in parliament? I really want you to take this information in. 27 countries out of the entire world. Now, I know those numbers can go up because we are the future. We are the present. We have so much power to take over the world. And I think it's just starting with yourself and ensuring that you know your power is insanely amazing. So I want you to do a little bit of a personal reflection, because you can only be so progressive within your confines, and then you can grow your success. So I want to ask you, how does your government work? Think about that. Who are your elected officials? How are they representing you? Do you have a state assembly member? Do you have a state senator, governor, advocacy groups within your community? Here in the British Virgin Islands, we have a governor and a premier, as well as I think about 12 representatives for each district. In your local community, who are the people that you can speak to about the things that you're passionate about and you want to advocate for? Do you have a student council at your school? What about your school? Does it have a school board? What other community groups does your community have? Does your government have a city council? These are potential groups that you can reach out to when starting your advocacy journey. So here are some movements and how they have started. The Women's March. And the symbols for very prominent advocacy groups for very passionate things that they're very important things that they're passionate about. Black Lives Matter, the Pride flag, the trans feminism symbol, and so on. Let's talk about effective advocacy strategies. So you know that the only person that's like you is you, right? You have to use your power, your unique perspective, your unique experience, your power to make a change and advocate for whatever it is that you feel passionate about. So whether that's calling your representative or writing a letter to your school board or hosting a meeting amongst other people that share the same viewpoint as you about this thing that you're passionate about and you want to advocate for, or simply writing an email to follow up on the call that your representative did not answer, attending town hall meetings, and so on. So using your power. Different things that you can do also. You can give a civics 101 presentation to the group of people that are interested in the same thing that you're advocating for. You can create a petition or sign one that ensures that there's physical documentation that other people are interested to propound to your government or whoever or whatever business or entity is in charge of the dismantling of that problem or that thing that you're passionate about. You can meet with local decision makers at a town hall meeting, or you can even organize one for yourself. I know they're a bit busy, but now that we're in this state of world where we're in quarantine and COVID-19 and such, you can maybe invite them to a Zoom call. You can do the advocacy wheel worksheet at a club meeting where you combine different things that people could potentially be passionate about, and you put them on a wheel and you basically pull it down, and randomly it chooses one that it stops on, and whoever feels passionate about that can then educate others amongst the group of said issue or said thing that they're passionate about, so that you're exchanging knowledge, and knowledge is power, just like using your voice is power. You can host an advocacy boot camp, informing people on how they can be more active and how they can also use their voice to advocate for whatever they're passionate about. You can host a film screening about an issue you want to get educated on. So for example, I want to learn more about Malala, and I know there's a movie out there, so I'm going to invite some of my close friends on a Netflix party and we're going to watch the documentary about her life. You can brainstorm ways to create safe spaces for others who are affected by the same thing that you're passionate about, maybe more detrimental than you, but they don't necessarily have that outlet in which they feel comfortable sharing their experience. So creating that safe haven for you and them, where it can be a transactional relationship where you learn from each other. Or you can simply just have a pizza party and call your elected officials. So I want you to think about something that you're passionate about. It can be a sport, it can be school, it can be dancing, it can be anything. It can be anti-period poverty, it can be education for all. Now I want you to think about your goal. And who you need to reach out to in order to get to that goal. Think about the relationships that you have and how they can connect you to that target person or that target company or that target entity that can help drive that change with you. The next step would be to find your other resources. If it's not relationships, is it what do you have in your vicinity that can help you achieve your goal? And then we want to talk about messaging. So once you've acquired the necessary materials or you've extrapolated from your relationships, you want to think about, how am I going to approach, who I need to approach, or what I need to do in order to achieve my goal. How is that going to be translated? How is that going to be communicated to other, not necessarily victims, but other people who are passionate about it, like you, your government officials, or whoever it is that you need in order to be successful? And with the right timing, everything will work together like clockwork. We're all counting on you. I know you can do it. So when you're messaging, you want to have effective storytelling. You want to lead with a hook. Maybe it's your own personal anecdotal. You want to be passionate, because if it's something that you're passionate about, there's no need to pretend as though you are passionate about it. Just write from within or type from within, or however you're communicating, and just be authentically you, because no one else can. And your unique perspective is so very necessary. And sometimes you might think that, other people's perspective are much more valuable than mine. It's called imposter syndrome. I've had it as a teen advisor for Girl Up. But at the end of the day, I was chosen because of my unique perspective and my unique experiences. And those things combined with other people's perspectives and experiences and expertise create something so beautiful. It creates change. It creates just bliss and magic. So you're needed. The same way I thought I wasn't needed, but I am. And so are you. You want to also identify the problems and the solutions. Because nowadays, some of the politicians or the people who are supposed to be doing the right thing, they don't know how to or what avenues in which they should do or approach that. So make it simple for them. And I'm sure as someone that is passionate about whatever it is that you're trying to tell your story of, you would have already come up with a solution, because that's how progressive you are. Now, you want to make sure that you're not delaying it. You want to be upfront, polite, yes, but consistent, and making your point with urgency. Because they as in politicians and government officials, have a million and one things to do, but what you're asking them to do. Because if they really wanted to do it, they would have already done it. So my point to you is help them out by creating the solutions for them, or potential solutions, because they might have their own new ideas, which is why your idea is important, because they probably didn't have that idea previously. But you also need to make sure that your messaging is coming off with urgency, yet politeness. Now, when you're doing that, sometimes you might not necessarily have a meeting. You might just probably have their attention on the phone for less than a minute because they have to go to a hearing or they have to do something else that's programmed into their agenda. But this is why preparation is key. So you need to create an elevator pitch where the different components that are necessary include, introducing yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And how is that important to what you're trying to make happen? So how are you different from the million and one things that they're trying to accomplish? Why does your cause matter? Obviously, it matters to you. And it should matter to them. And this is your way of convincing them that if it doesn't matter to them, it matters to the community that they represent. And you are part of that community. I'm getting so passionate about it. I love talking about advocacy. Okay. You need to also ensure that, as I mentioned, you tell them what your next steps are, what their next steps should be. And then you end with an attention-getting hook. So I'm going to share this document and other documents of scripts or email templates that you can use when you're actually doing this and getting out there and calling your representatives and emailing your school board and doing all the things that we love to see at Girl Up regarding advocacy. So today, I wanted to highlight something very important. So what are we advocating for? And how can you advocate during the pandemic? Or how have you? COVID-19 is impacting everyone. And there are some ways that are very disproportionate that COVID-19 is impacting girls and women around the world. Let's talk about economic and social inequalities between men and women. So economic and social inequalities between men and women lead to gender-based violence. And during times of crisis, these inequalities are exacerbated, which means that if it was down here before COVID-19, it's beyond us now. It's above us. And that is not good. Not saying that it was good before when it was down here, metaphorically speaking. But there's things that we can do to ensure that it's not even existent anymore. Globally, 243 million girls and women aged 14 to 49 have been subjected to gender-based violence by an intimate partner in the previous 12 months. The number has increased as security, health, and money worries have heightened and strains by having to live in cramped and confined conditions during this pandemic. One of the most vulnerable migrant worker groups are domestic workers, who are overwhelmingly women. There are 136 million women migrants. COVID-19 could cause 25 million jobs to be lost globally, with women migrant workers particularly vulnerable. There's a food security issue. The economic depression we are seeing could disrupt the food trade, leaving already vulnerable people hungry and without proper nutrition. Women, children, people with disabilities, and elders, the outcast if you will, often receive smaller portions of food or have less invested in their education and health. More than 80 to 820 million people don't have enough to eat. Of these, 113 million coping with hunger. It is so severe, it poses a risk to their lives. The solution, you might ask. We want to increase or introduce food stamps and subsidies, both in quantity for those already receiving them and in expansion of access to include those who become more vulnerable due to current circumstances. Let's talk about healthcare. Frontline health workers have had to put themselves in harm's way to save lives, and some have lost their own lives as a result. In many countries, women account for up to 70% of the health workforce and have therefore been disproportionately affected. In some countries, COVID-19 infections among female health workers are twice that of their male counterparts. Now more than ever, governments need to unite behind a strong World Health Organization, sharing knowledge, strategy, technical resources, and financial investment to defeat the global threat we all face. Here are the solutions. Governments should ensure that all care sector professionals and health care and long-term care workers in particular have adequate protection against transmission. Call on your decision makers to support full funding for the World Health Organization and other frontline organizations like the UNFPA. Let's talk about education. In presence, major disruptions in education and puts more of the domestic workload on women. Children who depend on school lunches will face food insecurity. I've seen it. Children become more vulnerable to violence since they can't report it as easily if they were in school. Roughly half of the world's population doesn't have internet access, and it is needed for its virtual schooling. So here's the solution. We need to narrow the digital divide by expanding free internet access to online educational platforms and materials. So again, we are the voice that we want to hear. We are the change that we want to see. And there are so many things that are lacking in governments that we can change. Maybe not you specifically, but a group of you can change. You're never too small. Your voice is never too low. Amplify. We need to unify and amplify voices that are usually not heard, especially during these times. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak and for giving me your attention. I am so proud of you for tuning in for the Kenya Summit, and I wish you all the best.
or KICC, change agent and humanitarian.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm Nana and I am going to be your keynote speaker today for the Girl Up Kenya Summit. Are you ready? I am so excited and I'm extremely honored and privileged to be able to be your keynote speaker, and thank you to all you girls for voting and also picking me for being your keynote speaker. So, who is Nana? I'm a mother, I'm a CEO, I'm an entrepreneur, and most important, I'm a change agent. In my intro, I had many titles, but the most important one today, right here, right now, in this space, is change agent. What is a change agent? A change agent is somebody who has a cause that they hold close to them, something that they want to be able to change, something that they want to be able to support, something that they want to be able to see through. And that is why I have chosen to work with all you girls and Girl Up Kenya. Girl Up is a program that has been put together to help better improve your lives. And that is something that I want to be able to support and help and see through. So that is why I have chosen to stand behind and support Girl Up Kenya to be able to see that through. Why Girl Up? Well, it's in the name, Girl Up. It is a program that has been created. It is a program that has been supported to be able to help uplift and empower and motivate girls. And I couldn't be more happier to support and also interact with all of you girls and see how we can move forward together. I'm a Chief Executive Officer of a state corporation under the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, known as Kenyatta International Convention Center. I have been here now for 4 years, and during that time, I've been able to restructure, reshape, and change the way people view this iconic building. And I won't lie to you, it's been extremely hard. When I first got here, I was one of the few female CEOs in government. I was also very young. So of course, those had its challenges. But through hard work and persistence, and also believing in myself, I took every day at a time, and here we are now, 4 years later. How has KICC changed? Well, before KICC was a place that people only thought of as where government or meetings take place. But now I've been able to demystify that, and we've been able to have many concerts here. We've been able to have many art exhibitions here and different expos here in Kenya. Another thing too that I hold very dear to my heart is being able to uplift and empower the arts and the sector that falls under. Kenyans are talented, and we decided to use KICC as a platform where artists on a monthly basis would be able to come and showcase their art here free of charge and give them the space and promote them, that they're able to get their artwork out there, not only to Kenyans but internationally. As a leader and head of an organization, I interact with many people on a daily basis. And of course, that had to have started from somewhere. That had to have come from somewhere. So let me take you on my life journey. And I hope by telling you my story, you will be able to take something away from it that not only inspires you, but more importantly, challenges you to want to do better and change your circumstance. And just because you are a young female girl and you don't look like you've got many options, I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to support you and let you know your options are limitless. Your options are as wide as you want them to be. I was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya. And at age 7, I went off to boarding school in England. Now, one thing I want to make very clear, it doesn't matter if you get educated here, It doesn't matter if you get educated in the United Kingdom. It doesn't matter if you get educated internationally. Education is education, and it is what you do with it. So do not use that as a crutch because I was not given an opportunity to be schooled or educated somewhere outside of this country, then I am a less of a person, or I am not good enough, or I cannot excel. The race is with yourself. The race starts and begins with yourself. I was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya, and at age 7, I then left and went to boarding school in England. After that, for high school, I went to school in Massachusetts in America. It was there when I had my first lessons of peer pressure, and I hung out and started spending time with the wrong type of people. My grades started to slip, and also my priorities started to shift. I was more concerned about making friends or being part of a group of people who, in quite honestly, today don't matter. And that is what I want to make very clear to all of you girls out there. You've got your whole life to lead. And just the part that you're living now is a piece of your own bigger picture. And do not get caught up in it, and do not get lost in it. However, that was not the case for me. I was an amazing athlete, and I also in '96 qualified for the '96 Olympics to be able to represent Kenya. However, that never came to light. I had another demon that I was actually fighting, and that is called alcoholism. By joining and fooling around with the wrong group of people, and also not being able to ask for help and keeping things in, I got caught up in a very vicious cycle of drinking. I would drink 24 beers a day and half a bottle of hard liquor a day, and I had not even hit age 21. At age 21 was when I decided to check myself in to rehab, and my life started to pick up again. It was a very hard battle. It was an upward battle, and it was a very personal battle. But here I am today, looking at you, 21 years sober, and a lot has changed in those 21 years. After becoming sober, I was able to pick up my life and be able to finish university. I finished university and I continued on with a second degree. After that, in 2007, I moved back to Kenya. The reason for moving back and coming back to Kenya in 2007 was my love for our beautiful country. I had done everything that was possible outside there. I had made the networks, I had built my connections, and it was now ready to implement them here in Kenya. I started my own company where we would market Kenya on an international level. Many a times I would interact with influencers, celebrities, and people who would assist me in marketing our beautiful country. It was one of those interactions, the MTV Awards, that got me into transitioning into government. Working on the MTV Africa Music Awards here in Kenya in 2009 was my first interaction with government. It was a different ball game, it was a different setting, and it was something that I really wanted to enter into. In 2013, I was later given an opportunity to come and work for government as the advisor to the Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Tourism at the time, Phyllis Candier. My background was marketing, and though it was hard, I was able to excel and support in all areas to do with that. After working for the ministry until 2016, I then moved across as acting CEO of Kenyatta International Convention Center, and that is where I sit today. Apart from being a CEO, I am a mother. I am a mother to 3 amazing boys, age 7, age 5, and age 3. And I'm a single parent. And for all you single mothers out there, one thing I urge you to take on is that you are not unique. There are many of us out there. Do not use it as a crutch to stop you from excelling to where you want to go. You've been blessed by having children. And be it at a young age, your life does not stop there. It actually begins, because not only are you having to look after yourself now, you are also having to look after your children. So I urge you to make the best decisions for that. The balance between motherhood and corporate life has been hard. And no one said it's going to be easy, but that is a challenge that I've taken, embraced, and I know with both sides of that spectrum, I will be able to excel and be the best in both of those capacities. From a very young age, I have always wanted to help people. And I think also that comes from being helped as well. Mentorship is the key to anybody's success and future. Not your own, if you're a mentor, but the people you are able to push and advise and help and steer so that they can better their own circumstances and also their lives. That is why I choose Girl Up. I can relate to Girl Up. I can understand what Girl Up is wanting to do. I can understand how Girl Up wants to help the future generations of Kenya. And that is why I am a change agent. I will do anything in my capacity, in my ability, to help mentor, support, advise, and guide and uplift you, the girls of Girl Up Kenya, because you are the future of this country. And you can be anybody or anything you want to be. We often get confused when we hear our friends talking about how they've done this, how they've done that, what they're going to do. But I have to urge you, the race is with yourself. You may be the last person out of the starting blocks, but you may be the first one to finish the finish line. Be yourself. If there is anything I can advise you on, that is that. Because if you don't know who you are, you will never get to where you want to be. Be comfortable in your own skin. And it's also okay to be different. The importance of education. Now that is something that always gets often overlooked. Education does not only mean in the classroom. Education is how one can also educate themselves personally. You may go to school to learn your science, your math, your English, and all of those type of things. But what about yourself? What about who you are? Know who you want to be, and also know who you don't want to be. And that also falls under education as well. There are many online free education courses that are out there right now. Ajira, which is an initiative from the Ministry of ICT, is one of them. They have over 32 two-hour courses where you are able to teach yourself English, better equip yourself with online marketing services, and anything else in between. 32 classes that are there enable you to better equip yourself. And again, even if you're to go, and also the next time when you're Googling or on social media or doing all of that, save your bundles. Use them for things that matter. Use them for things that are bettering yourself. Have a plan. Know what you want to do. There's no point having a dream of somebody else. Your best friend may want to be an art designer. And you may not know what you want to be. But because you don't know what you want to be, it does not mean that it's going to hold you back. So I challenge you, get a piece of paper and start writing. Who are you? Who are you now? Who do you want to become? How will you get there? What are your best qualities? What are your worst qualities? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? Now, the points I have just asked you to write down. Take time with it. Put it to the side, because I don't want to be talking about it today in this keynote speech. However, I will be running workshops throughout the year with Girl Up Kenya, where we will be having 20 to 25 girls, and I will be mentoring you. Yes, you. I will be mentoring you, and also together we'll be working on how to become the better you and me. My speech would not be complete if I did not touch on that topic. It is a very delicate topic. It is a very sensitive topic. But if there's one advice I can give you, is don't sell yourself short. I am living proof of that. I have scars to show, and I have wisdom to pass on to you. The beauty and why I have wanted to support Girl Up is because it's like that saying that somebody says to you, what would you do if you could go back and tell your younger self? What advice would you give? Well, guess what? I don't have to write it down. I've got all of you girls that I can communicate with and interact with and tell you what I would look out for. And relationships, of course, being the age that you are now, you're going to suffer heartache. You're going to suffer being one day the most popular person and the next day something has happened and you can't even explain it and you don't even know why. But you're no longer that popular person. It's very hard to deal with. But I'm also here to tell you, it is a very short time in your life. And I really want to be able to walk through that with you. Again, during and also being the age that you are now, you are going to be experimenting. You're going to be experimenting with boys. You're going to be experimenting with men. And that is another topic that I will be discussing more in our year-long workshops that I will be holding. One mistake can change your life for the better or for the worst. And believe it or not, you hold and control those two outcomes. And that is something that you really have to keep in the forefront of everything that you do. When you are faced with a decision to make, ask yourself, how is this going to better me in the next 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or 5 years? And if your answer is something that you are not okay with, you are not happy with, walk away. And if the answer is something that you are happy with, that you can stand by it, and that you will support it to the end, then move forward with it. But again, I have to remind you, and I will be here to remind you, that you hold the two outcomes right here. And now for my parting shot. Believe in yourself. There was a girl who was referred to as a tomboy. There was a girl who was referred to as an ugly duckling. There was a girl who was referred to as being disruptive in class. And there was a girl who was told that she would not get very far with that attitude. There was a girl who was told she needed to do better. There was a girl who was told to stop dreaming and looking out of the window. And there was a girl who never believed in herself. What if I told you that girl I've just spoken about is me? All of those girl references I have made are about myself. And here I am today, sitting here, being your keynote speaker. Why? Because I believed in myself. I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what I wanted to become. And it is not CEO. It is not a CEO of a large corporation. It is not a public figure. It is not somebody who has their hair and makeup done to the T. But I knew I always wanted to help others. And that is why I sit here today as your keynote speaker, your mentor, and your change agent. Believing in oneself is the best gift you could ever give yourself. Stay safe and take care of not only yourself, but those around you. There will be your support system, and there will be the ones who will ensure that you become who you believed you were to be.